All right, we're live.
Yay! I am alive, barely
So
alive.
I see who you guys are. I see who was my predecessor.
What do you mean?
Well, exactly what I mean.
Oh, the email I sent for the update. Yes. I was just looking through the past episodes, like the early episodes of the Entre Programmers, and it's just interesting to see how things have changed quite dramatically. So
Yeah.
Well, I still think there is potential to do a more private version of this because there are things that apparently everyone feels a little worried talking about in public. So
are you telling me that everyone has skeletons in their closet somewhere?
more or less.
I'm trying to think yeah.
I get
What
in
is
trouble when I
everyone's?
talk about my personnel issues.
Yes, you do. What is everyone's deep dark secrets?
No, I'm saying like the fact that we can't even talk about what we're just trying to talk about openly is not cool.
Well, we could, but it would. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we won't.
Mm.
And that's why it kind of defeats the purpose of a mastermind.
Yeah, I don't hold much back, but occasionally I do.
I don't hold anything business back for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I got accepted to be one of the attendee speakers at MicroConf this year.
Oh yeah, I
Boom.
saw it. Congratulations.
What about you, John?
No. Surprise. This is really weird because I have to say, like, there was only like, I don't know, maybe like 15 submissions or so, and they accepted like 6 of them, right? I mean it was voting on it, right? But I think there were 6 of them. So it was like just 33% chance of them, or more than 33% of them were actually
Even then you didn't
accepted.
make it.
Yeah, that's really strange. But a lot of the focus of the conference is on SaaS applications, so it kind of makes sense.
What was yours about?
About launching a book. So
yeah, software guys launching a book.
yeah,
I can see that.
But last year I did one on YouTube. I think maybe it was the year before.
I think it was the year before last.
Yeah. So,
but yeah.
When are you heading up there, Chuck?
I'm driving down on Sunday.
Okay. Yeah. I'll be there on Friday night.
Yeah. And then I'm staying across the street at Excalibur this time.
Okay. I'll be at MGM. And then I'll be heading to Kansas City right afterwards to close on not to close on my real estate deal, but to check it out. Make sure it actually exists.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What are you just flying from Las Vegas to Kansas City?
Yep.
When do you fly out?
I think it's Wednesday. Yeah, that Wednesday.
I could probably give you a ride to the airport if you want. I'll have my truck.
Oh, sure. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I might take you up on that.
Yep. Yeah, because I'm just driving down. So anyway, cool.
Oh, what's Podfest?
Oh, it was boring. I didn't see anybody there that I was interested in talking to. So
yeah.
It was really good. I got a lot of ideas and made a lot of contacts. It's funny though, because a lot of the people that I wound up talking to, they really don't have any applicability whatsoever to what I'm doing. But you know, they're all podcasting, and so that was interesting.
What were your key takeaways?
So the big actionable one was the audiograms. So basically, you take a snippet that's like a minute long, and you basically put it in a video, and then you post it to social media, give people something to click on. Because I mean, if you watch anybody kind of scrolling through their Twitter feed or their Facebook feed, it's the ones with those images or videos that they're clicking on. And if it's a real short video that looks interesting to them, then they'll click on it. So, that you just have to make it look appealing and then put it together. I mean, a few of the other things were just that.
Did you pick up a tool for that?
Yeah, there were a couple of them that people were passing around, because there were companies there that would do it for you, but they were like a few $100s a month.
No, repurpose.io. Well, you still have to kind of give them the audio snippets.
Oh, Repurpose will do it?
Yeah.
Because there was another one that was like Repurpose something or other.
Repurpose is a software tool.
Yeah,
and there are more like human tools, or human.
I have repurpose.io. I use it to put my podcasts. I get them up to YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So you can snippet it out and still do the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they did it.
It's the same thing, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
But yeah, so for the artwork, a few people were talking about one called snappa.com.
Every show has a unique artwork?
Yeah.
Every episode, you mean?
No. Every
just for your show.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if we have a guest, I could get a headshot for the guest and things like that. So
that means for the episode, not the show.
Yeah, that would be for the episode, not the show. But yeah, I'd be really curious just to see what the options are. But yeah, I'd have to figure some of that out. But yeah, anyway, so that's something that I'm playing with. But yeah, so that was kind of the big option, or actionable one. I did talk to the guys over at Buzzsprout, and they're the ones that had the podcasting booth out in the hallway. And that looks really interesting to me as well, as kind of an in to get into more tech conferences and have them pay my way.
What was that? What's the way?
So they had the podcasting booth out in the hallway.
Right. I remember.
The exhibitor area. And it was funny too, because I stopped and I asked them about it, and it turned out that the guys that built the podcasting booth were their development team, and Buzzsprout's back end is Rails, and so they're all Ruby Rogues listeners.
That's funny.
Nice.
So I started chatting with Brian, is the guy I talked to, and he, so he's like, "So what do you do?" And I'm like, I make podcasts or something. Oh, cool. So what's your stack? Oh, Ruby on Rails. Oh, well, I have a show on Ruby called Ruby Rogues. Oh, you're that guy. And then he got all kinds of excited, and then he told all of his friends. So then I got an email from his friends. So I've kind of gotten the rundown on that. So I'm looking at putting together a podcasting booth.
Sorry.
Manny's standing up. I'm like, what is that sound? So yeah, I'm looking at putting together a podcasting booth. And then I've already pitched it to NGConf to see if they want me to bring it over, because that's just up in Salt Lake, so I could just take it up and set it up. But yeah, if I could get it into some of the other conferences, then I would essentially say, look, anybody who has a podcast that wants to come in and record can, book a time in the booth, and that allows me to connect with other
tech people.
Well, not just tech people, but content creators.
Yeah.
And so I can essentially connect with other influencers and get crossover with their shows and my shows. And the other thing is that I would essentially pitch the conferences, especially some of the bigger budget ones. It's probably a rounding error on what they're spending on all the stuff, on essentially giving me booth space, shipping the booth out, and then paying my way as well. And if they did all that, then I may just come out and do it, just to get the exposure. So anyway, so that's something that I'm looking at. I've got most of the processes now for the podcast documented. So, that was another big thing, is a lot of folks are struggling with the same kinds of things. And so that was one of them. And so I just kind of doubled down on that to make sure that all that stuff's, together and figured out. So yeah, those were kind of the big takeaways for me from Podfest. And then sitting in your talk, you had that grid up with all the different, I can't remember exactly what the terms were, but essentially it was, building rapport, or, building authority, or, and then all the different ways you could do that. And I was getting a lot of ideas just looking at that on different things that I could put into my mailing list to kind of build that kind of stuff up. And so I'm kind of working that out.
I was talking to John about how that is my contribution to the world of marketing, the grid. But it's like what you said there is really how I think of the grid, in the sense, a lot of times we produce content without really thinking about the bigger picture, or how it can be leveraged in so many different ways. Just one piece of content, just with the right kind of messaging, a sentence here, a sentence there, 2 sentences there, and that changes everything. And not only that, once the content is produced, it can literally be repurposed for all of those purposes again, in your emails, in your web copy, in your sales copy, and all of those things. So that grid is really helpful way to look at how, like, no matter where they are in the funnel, there's something in that grid you can literally pick up and say, okay, if I just add this to this, then it takes it to the next level in terms of communicating. So, Josh, you haven't seen what I'm talking about here. It's basically saying, if you have a marketing funnel and you take people from know, like, trust, buy, try, repeat, refer, all of those things, if all those steps are there, what are the different triggers? What are the different kinds of contents and different kinds of triggers you need to have in order to move people down that funnel, right? So the trust piece, usually testimonials, case studies are really powerful in that situation. In knowing phase, you're doing more of SEO content, authority content, more of, content that's viral worthy. In the liking phase, maybe you're telling stories, you're talking about specific components of your past, or, you're building likability, you're building rapport. So all of those, like, basically I created a whole spreadsheet or table of what in different phases you can do. And not only that, in different pieces of content, how you can trigger off all these different components any given time. Even with one piece of content, it's not just that content that's talking about their idea, but that content can literally be triggering off 5 different things. A little story that triggers trust, a little story that's a case study for a product that you will offer in the future, a little story or some sort of a authority building example of, this is what I did. And all of those can be thrown into just a simple piece of content or email or video or blog posts or whatever you want it to be, or even an interview that you do with someone.
Nice. Yeah. You can layer it in.
Yeah.
And then the last one that I picked up, and this is another actionable step, was doing keyword research for podcast topics.
Yeah. Hold on. Is this something you picked up from mine or someone else you meant?
No, that was something that I picked up from.
What are you talking about?
I think you mentioned it too. It came up a few times, but it was the aha moment for me was the day before your talk. where they were talking about doing it for YouTube, and I was like, "There's no reason why I can't do this for podcast too. Make sure that we're covering these topics." And what's funny is that I was really specific on the titles of because we already did an episode on Ruby Rogues based on one of those keyword searches, and I was very specific about what the title should be so that it matches up exactly with that YouTube or with that Google search.
Yeah. There's so many, like, I feel like the days of show notes are over. I feel show notes are the stupidest way of doing like any kind of content when it comes to podcast related stuff.
Yeah, the direction I've gone on the show notes, and it was funny because I did this, and then Michelle went through and basically told all the show notes writers that we were cutting their pay in half because they weren't going to be doing as much work per episode. And so essentially they just go through and pull all the links out, and that's it.
Yeah, that's not really show notes. But even if that is show notes, then it's really useless stuff.
Yeah, they write a couple of paragraphs, and then that's it.
Because truly, content like in podcasts is so good that can literally be used for specific SEO purposes, or you can you can. The way I see it is, you can literally create an epic post that has 5 of your podcast episodes in it.
Yeah.
And that has a much higher likelihood of ranking than just 5 episodes with random freaking show notes, which have no chance of ranking.
That's something that I'm actually planning on doing, is writing one of those blog posts every week that more or less answers one of the questions that I'm pulling off the keyword research. And so then it's, for example, we did the episode on how hard is it to learn Ruby on Rails, because that was something that came out of the keyword research. And so I'm probably going to write a blog post that is something along those same lines, and it's going to refer to that episode and a couple of other episodes where we talked about learning Rails.
Why would you need to write an episode if it's already in the podcast? Just have it transcribed and then clean it out to make that the post.
Yeah, and then I can refer to the other related episodes in that post. That's
and talk about the top 5 ideas, why it is difficult, why it is easy, and all of that is already in there. So you don't have to redo That's why I think starting with keyword as the starting point for whether you're doing a YouTube video or podcast is really powerful.
Yeah.
Because you start with keyword, then you say, okay, well, if I'm going to do this keyword, these are the different videos I can do, or these are the different podcast episodes I can do. And then you start mapping out the whole journey, and you take it to, okay, these are the 3 episodes I'll do on email marketing 101, 201, 301, 401.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And then these are the videos. This will go to the podcast. And this converts into a blog post as well. So now you become the hub. Like the post becomes the hub of your podcast and your YouTube channel, YouTube video, and your epic blog post in there. Now, it has much more legs to it than just a random conversation on a podcast about email marketing.
That's true. The other end of that is that, just tying it all together, and putting it all in one place so that it's, hey, here's the podcast episode. Yeah, like you said, here's the podcast episode. Here's the, and then maybe if there's an email course or something, I can use that to put people on the list, right? So then it's from how hard is it to learn Rails? It's, hey, here's a 2-week email course on how.
I should write a blog post or I should write show notes on why show notes are dead.
I might actually submit that talk to Podcast Movement. That'd probably tick some people off, though.
Oh, dude, they'll tick off so many people who have their businesses built around show notes.
Oh, yeah.
But literally do nothing for that host, more or less, other than just having a placeholder.
Well, I would just make the case that you guys made a couple weeks ago and just be like, look,
here,
the keywords that are coming into my website are JavaScript Jabber, Ruby Rogues, Adventures in Angular, right? It's not the particular topics of those shows, and it's nothing that's coming out of those show notes, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, I have the new show notes. Okay, the new show notes for 2019 is audio show notes.
The audio show notes for the hour-long episode are what, about an hour long?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or what you could do, actually, this might actually, even though I was trying to be funny, might actually be a good idea. But if you did have an audio summary of the podcast,
I've thought about doing that.
Like, and that was the show notes.
Well, there's no reason why I couldn't do like a 5-minute summary of the episode on YouTube or something.
Yeah.
And just, pull that in, put it on the page or something.
Well, the only reason is time.
Yeah. That's fair.
If you have the time, yes, by all means.
Yeah. But the other thing is I also would like to go back and hit some of the popular episodes that we've had in the past. Like Ruby Rogues, the top episode is How to Learn. And I could write blog post after blog post about that.
Mm-hmm.
And tie in a lot of the other episodes from a lot of the different shows. And drive traffic out that way and bring people in on the SEO basis that way as well. Do some YouTube videos, stuff like that.
I think show notes are a relic in the sense show notes are what the podcasters did because they didn't understand SEO.
Well, 10 years ago, SEO was a different animal.
Even then, SEO is still like show notes are never designed for SEO.
No, they really weren't.
Right.
But
so podcasting world has been separate from the YouTube world, which has been separate from the Google SEO world. They've all been operating in silos. Yeah. So very few people actually are looking at it from a complete picture and saying, hey, what the hell are we doing here? I think there's a better way to do this shit.
Well, the other thing I'm just going to throw out there is that initially when podcasts were new, people would read the show notes and they don't anymore. Right? Because it was a novel thing and the
kind of like blog comments.
Yeah.
People used to leave blog comments.
Yeah, and now they just go in and I really like your blog post. Check out my Viagra sales page at so many of those go to spam, it's ridiculous. But, yeah.
Chuck always falls for that. It's like, damn it, didn't get a good deal today.
I know. I haven't gotten any blue pills yet.
They said it's $1 a pill, and damn guys are now doing it $1.99 here.
So yeah. In other news, since we're kind of off on a tangent here, I talked to my friend who was going to start the data science podcast on devchat.tv. And they've already recorded a couple of episodes, so we're just pulling the last bits of things together there.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
And,
I love it.
I talked to somebody else, and I wasn't planning on doing a show on this, but he's totally willing to pull things together and get things going there, and that's Open Source Sustainability Maintainability Podcast.
How much is a show worth to you right now?
What do you mean?
Revenue-wise?
It depends.
Per listener.
Per listener.
Or per download, or per 1,000 downloads, whichever way you want to do it.
Per 1,000 downloads, probably what? $45, $50.
Okay. So if you can basically get any of your shows to get to what number for that show to become profitable for you?
About 2,000.
2,000 downloads per episode, per month? What are we talking here? At 2,000, it's profitable for you?
At 2,000, it breaks even. If I fill all the sponsorship spots, then it's a little less than 1,000. But I usually can't. What I'm looking at doing is on some of these shows, I'm actually looking at just going to some sponsors and saying, hey, look, I'll give you the sponsorship for 6 months if you just pay for the editing. And then they get the sponsorships on the first slot on those shows. But then I can go sell all the rest of it, and that's straight profit. I can go sell the other spots.
Well, wait a minute. Why would you propose for them to pay for the editing?
Well, essentially, it would be $100 an episode. And that would cover my cost for the editing and the bare bones show notes.
So you're offering them one sponsor.
So it'd be one sponsorship spot on one episode for $100 per episode.
That's not even worth selling. Like, it's not even worth the time to waste to do that. Like, it would cost you more time to like arrange that. Like, it'd be better to just shell it out of your pocket.
Yep, I agree.
And
it's unnecessary.
And then try and sell it, or sell it with the rest of the stuff.
Sell it only when you have enough, like probably $1,000 worth to sell. I think less than that is not even worth.
Well, that's why I'm saying 6 months, because 6 months is what, 26 episodes, so it'd be $2,500, give or take.
Oh, so it's like a bootstrap. It's like you're bootstrapping it as like an angel investor almost, because they're not getting anything at first.
Yeah, but those episodes get downloaded forever.
Right.
And the first episodes are the ones that people click the most, right? Like episode 1 is the best episode, because people always go to like episode 1. They go to the newest episodes, and they go to the first one.
Yep. Yeah, so I'd make a $2,500 sale, and then it would cover essentially the cost of starting the podcast.
Yeah.
And you've got one person, so it's not like you're swapping out, like you don't have a lot of administrative craziness with multiple sponsors. It's just the one for 6 months. So
yep. And then the other thing that I'm looking at doing is changing up the sponsorship setup, because the one-off sales just drive me nuts, and they're generally not worth it. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to offer essentially a 1 month, a 2 month, and a 3 month package on each show. And then the price will vary on those depending on placement, but the package will be the same. And so essentially what you'd get, because I also want to make sure that they're getting an ROI, right? So that they order another package. And so it's basically going to, if they do, each of them will include one email campaign to that segment of the list. It'll include an interview with them so that I can pull audio out and do audiograms with those and use that to drive traffic to them. And then it'll include the ad reads.
More holistic sponsorships.
And so then if they say, look, we have a budget, then I'm just going to be like, well, then, buy the month-long package on the smallest show. But then they, they're getting pushed from every angle. And we can actually drive some traffic for them.
There's another angle. You bring them in as interviewees.
Yeah.
And that could be premium, much higher ticket offering.
I offer that anyway.
Okay. In the same package?
No, but I need to formalize that so that it's, so that that's a thing.
Did you figure out your lead magnets?
Nope.
I know. It's such a pain.
I think I'm just going to send what I have, because I need to just execute. And it's more important to execute than to be perfect.
Yep.
So I'm probably going to do that next week. And we'll see what we get.
It's an iterative process. It's never done.
Well, the other thing that I'm looking at is I kind of set up that Plinko machine, but I don't know. Part of me wants to just do it live, just set everything up as broadcasts and then extract the things that I can automate. And so I just periodically send the...
How many offers do you have in the Plinko machine?
I mean, mostly it's promoting the other shows, right? So if they're not subscribed to that one on email, then it prompts them to get those emails too.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, that's a simple...
But also...
doesn't really have any deadlines or anything like fancy links or anything.
No, and I've also looked at doing some affiliate stuff, right? So we could take the emails that we wrote for Ruby Rogues, you and I, and, we're going to kind of clean them up and dust them off for JavaScript Jabber. But then I could put those in a campaign and put that in the Plinko machine.
Yeah, that for sure. What's going on with you said April is when you're publishing that?
Yep.
Yeah.
There does seem to be something weird that happens when you automate one of those sales. Like, I don't really know how to explain it, but
yeah,
you right? I mean, like we've done it multiple times. It's like you run a sale to the whole list and you calculate the percentage, like the conversion rate.
right.
And then we we automated it and we put it on like a 60-day thing where after they're on the list for 60 days, they get the sale. And the conversion rate's like a tenth of what it was when we ran it live. I don't know how to explain it. It makes no sense to me at all, but
I've seen it multiple theory.
Times.
My theory is that we're actually living in a simulation, that we're inside a computer program, and when we do that shit, it breaks it causes it breaks the system. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, oh no,
a black cat runs out of my monitor.
You cannot make free money. Like, it's like a sim is it has started an infinite loop to make free money. No, like a throttling effect goes in.
There you go.
So
on that note, I'll be back.
But there is some weird effect though. I don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah.
I keep on coming back to like again with the Plinko machine and the complexity and stuff. And I think some of it is maybe just that like it's so hard to test too. And I have not as much confidence in Drip as I did that all the emails are going.
Conversation about that today.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because I definitely want to hear that, because I'm not so sure that things are working how we think they are. And part of the weird, like the reason why I'm suspecting this also is because like when I look at our sales, right? Like we are getting like it's period. It's like weird, right? Like you'll have a day where a bunch of $29 sales will come in because people are using a coupon code. So that means that they did get an email, right? That like, but people should be constantly flowing through that. So I think there's all kinds of like stuff happening that's not, I don't know. My faith level is very, very, very low at this point that everything is working. So I'm like, maybe we should just simplify things. And I don't know, but tell me about your
I won't. To your point real quick, John. I mean, the initial one, you're hitting everybody for the first time, and so when it comes back around, you would still expect a trickle, right?
Well, no, this isn't. So it's not. We're not hitting people a second time. It's like we run it, and then like all right, anybody from this point forward that comes in, they're going to go through this. So they're fresh. They're not tagged. Yeah, they're completely fresh. It should be, in the ballpark. Of what we saw, the first time around, but not so much.
So what's the conspiracy?
All right, so I'm gonna withhold the name of this person, and I won't go in. I don't think I'll go into all the details, but basically George, yeah, Bubba. I talked to somebody today who just recently switched from Drip to ConvertKit.
Yeah.
And he has a decent sized list. He's about half the size of ours. And for one thing, he was really not happy with how they just sort of like, surprise, everyone's prices are going up.
Yeah.
And that actually, I think I'm almost positive that they opted me into the annual plan like themselves, because I was on the annual plan. I emailed them because I actually wanted to downgrade my service because now they had the $49 tier. And I was like, oh, good. I had like the desk hacks list on there, and I could just delete those subscribers and I could go to the lower tier. And I went in and they're like, oh, do you still want to be on the annual plan? I was like, what? I'm not on that. I've been paying every month. It's been $99 a month. And they're like, oh, no. Look, you're on the annual plan. And it's like $44.99 a year or whatever.
Oh, is this a separate account? Because we're on the annual on Simple Programmer.
Yeah. This is my Joshua Earl account.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I typically prefer to like have consistent expenses every month versus like getting whomped with like a $2,000 bill every so often. So Yeah, so I've stayed on the monthly, and I'm pretty sure they upgraded me because I wouldn't have clicked. I wouldn't have asked for that.
No. Clay Collins is a totally reliable, trustworthy guy. Never heard anything bad about him ever.
So there was that. But so this person that I was talking to, so he woke up one day and it was Friday afternoon and he logged into his Drip account and it was suspended. Like there's a note at the top that said no emails are going out. So he contacted them and they were like, "Oh, that was a mistake. Sorry." And they just turned it back on.
Sorry. We thought we were YouTube for a second.
Yeah. So then the price thing happens. So he asked them at the time, he's like, "Okay, is there anything I'm doing that's wrong? Like anything I'm doing that could be," and basically he triggered some random warning with like too many people clicking the spam button on one particular workflow is what I think it was. And then, so then he goes and, so they increased the prices. So he was he was mad about that. And then they, then a few weeks later, he goes in Friday afternoon and, his account's disabled again.
Oh, sorry, we burned down your building again. Did you need that?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And so this time he reached.
We thought you were a hate group. Well, I don't know. We're just.
So he reached out to them again, and they were like, "No, sorry, we can't turn your account back on." What? And so they made him jump through all these hoops and do all this rigmarole. Like he had to go to double opt-in. He had to enable CAPTCHA on his on all his opt-ins.
Oh my gosh,
that's got to make the conversion rate go way up.
I know,
way up.
Yeah, So they basically they made him jump through all these hoops. Eventually, they turned him back on, but for him that was the last straw, and he went over to ConvertKit. I did ask him. So I asked him. I was curious, like, if his deliverability has improved with ConvertKit, and he said no. It's showing lower. He had some theories about why that might be, but he didn't see a big deliverability jump, which doesn't really surprise me because they both use the sending, like they all use the same sending networks basically. So I wouldn't have expected a huge improvement there. But he did. I did ask him about like a lot of the features and stuff since he'd been on Drip, and he was saying that a lot of the stuff that we kind of take for granted in Drip, he can't do. Like, John, actually, the issue that you had that made you mad with the emails going out from the one-off emails from a workflow, you can't even do one-off emails from a workflow in ConvertKit. You have to create a campaign with one email in it. So they're it sounds like Nathan's being really responsive, and they're like pedaling hard to build a lot of this stuff out, but he said about half of the really of the automation features that we use are there, and the other half are not yet. So,
well, I don't need a huge level of sophistication. I mean, to me, like, here's the basic easy path, because I'm just looking at this even right now as I'm trying to set up that interview cake funnel, and I'm like, okay, it should be really fucking easy to make it so that when they enter the funnel, the campaign, you send them an email. If they don't do the action in the email or open the email, you send them a reminder or a new email, right? Like that's otherwise you skip on to the next step. Like what?
Yeah, you can't do that easily. And then follow-up steps, conditional follow-up steps. Yeah, so, I don't think anybody has that really.
It's a real easy thing. Like in Drip in the campaign editor, it should just say it should just have like this email. Like you have email one.
Editor. Can't you do that with the workflow?
Well, sort of. Like
you can, but
email 2 should be able to have a conditional that says only send this email if they haven't
like open the last email, mini campaigns.
Yeah, well, no, it
does. Each campaign has a top level email with sub emails underneath it that are like follow up emails for that one.
I don't even need
just
that.
Had a conditional, click the link or not, right?
Yeah, I just need a conditional
reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I tried to set up a workflow and I could do it and I can make it so that there's multiple ways. You can make it so that if they you can use goal, right? And you can say, well, if they visit this page, then the workflow will shortcut them to that goal spot, right?
Right.
Which will skip the other emails, but those will have to be one-off emails. But the problem that I had, I was like working on this morning, and then I was like, okay, like I don't trust this. I need to test it. So then I'm like, okay, how do I actually test this? And then I thought, well, I've got an account in Drip, right? Like that, like my email address is signed up. But how do I know which account I'm using in Drip? Like,
see you in 3 weeks, also, because you're gonna have to wait for all the emails to drip out.
No,
and,
no,
like,
I can just, all I want to do is test that, like when one email comes out, that when I visit the page, that it moves me to the goal, and you can have Drip send you a notification email if someone hit that stage. So that's all I wanted to do.
Right.
But I don't even know what which account that Drip thinks I'm using. You know what I mean? Like there's no way to identify yourself. That's easy to know. Like
there's not like a developer mode.
I'm gonna build a new email system. I'm gonna call it Clip.
So here's what I was thinking. Actually, this might be an interesting. So I was looking at ClickFunnels, right? And again, I don't know enough about ClickFunnels to completely say this, but they've got that action tech, right? They have the ability to send email, right? So like things have gotten so damn complicated. Why not can it just be this simple? Can we just create a funnel in there, and then when people come into the funnel, right, they go to that first page or whatever, the lead capture page, then their email address gets collected in ClickFunnels. Then ClickFunnels sends them the first email that says, go watch this video. And then after if they take the action to watch the video, then it moves them to the next step, right? If they don't, then it sends them another email. I don't know if this is right. And then basically get them to go through the whole funnel to the ending sales page. And then when they're done, then we zap them over to MailChimp or Drip or ConvertKit or whatever, and then keep their, you see what I'm saying? Is like instead of trying to put all the logic and switching back and forth, what if it's all just in one place in ClickFunnels when they're going through that particular funnel, and then that is working because it's a one path, straightforward, simple thing. And then you keep all the emails for, in a different database where you can send broadcast emails, and you could send things like that, or put people into different funnels. I don't know. Does that sound like
you started off sounding like you knew it, and then you're like, I don't know.
I mean, does that, I don't know. Do you guys know enough about ClickFunnels to know if that is if that works? Or?
I don't know for sure.
Is there any reason why, if that works, that doesn't make sense to do?
I would say the main things would be just that you do lose control. Like if you've only got one funnel, that makes sense. If you have multiple funnels, you do kind of lose control of where people are, or like, you can end up in the situation where people are on 10 different things, which personally I don't mind. A lot of people think that that's a major problem. There's no single source of truth in that case, right? You've got people that are just pinballing around in the different funnels. So
yeah, see, this is where I'd like to just have
like Infusionsoft basically does. I mean, Infusionsoft is what most people will use. Like if you're not cobbling stuff together, Infusionsoft does all of it. If you've got an Infusionsoft guy who understands it and can build it for you, like that's the heavy hitters seem to use.
But
Infusionsoft.
No one uses Infusionsoft anymore. Now everyone uses ClickFunnels because everyone is selling their course on how to use ClickFunnels so they can get affiliate commission. Like the purpose of ClickFunnels is to sell ClickFunnels. It is the most ingenious thing ever because you get 50%.
That Sim's gonna get himself whacked. I'm telling you.
With a wooden spoon.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want it simple. Again, this is where it comes down to, like, if you just have one product, one real offer, then you just like have, we've gotten too complex. This is why all these email systems have got all these fucking branches and workflows now. And then it's like, there's no, like, to some degree, it's like we were just talking about when we started this conversation. If you're not 100% reliably sure that that the shit is happening the way that you think it is, then
it might as well not be happening.
Right, because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that a lot of our sales problem has to do with that people are not actually going through the campaigns as we expect them to, just because of the spiky nature where one day it's like you get 5 sales of this all using the same coupon code. So, but if it's
What do you
just
mean
one,
they're not going through your campaigns? Technologically, they're not getting the emails?
I think so. I think so.
They're not getting the emails delivered?
It's really hard to even know like if the things are triggering properly, and I've seen too many glitches to like, you know what I mean, like how do you even know that people are getting the email sequence that you're expecting them to get and popping through the workflow
I mean,
properly?
the best you can do is kind of look at traffic trends on your sales pages and get an idea of whether that's like whether the flow is consistent or not.
But the order in which they get emails and like how many emails they get kind of determines what they do on those pages to some degree, right? Because it's the messaging. But I don't know, like if you just have one simple thing, like why, you know, I'm almost going back to the point of like saying, okay, let's just have one simple campaign, and you just go through the campaign, and that's it, right? It's like, you know, if
like
you're selling one product,
long one.
What's that?
Like a month's long one.
And then, yeah, like, well, no, not even a month-long one. Just like a campaign. Just this is the campaign. This is what they come in through the funnel. They go through this, and then they drop onto a nurture sequence or something, and that's it. Right, and then you just optimize the hell out of those emails in there, right? See, that's the other thing is, right? So if you just have one funnel and you just have one email campaign, right? That's selling that, you know, then what you can do is you can go in and you can look at the emails and you can look at the click rates and open rates on the emails, and you can start trying things and say, okay, well, what if I replace email 2? Let's try this and see if it improves the click rate. And then you can just keep on optimizing that one path instead of like instead of trying to throw all these other paths, right? And saying, okay, well,
someone's been watching some Sam Owens lately.
I haven't actually, but the you know what I'm saying? Like it just like we're adding more and more shit, which makes things more complex. Instead of if you have one real simple funnel and one simple path, then what you can do is you can just improve everything along that path, right? So from the opt-in to the emails that you send, right, you can optimize it to have higher open rates based on the subject line or click rates on that, and you can measure all of that stuff, and the sales page, landing page, all that stuff. You can change all that stuff, and that's going to give you a greater effect than pitching 15 different products and having a whole bunch of complex workflows where people drop into this offer and that offer, right? Instead, you just have one flow and you optimize and you can optimize the end of that, right? So you could just say, okay, when people go through this funnel, you know, whatever, at the end of it, if they don't buy, then we just like send them this offer, send them this offer, send them this offer, but it's just all a sequential.
No, then you keep sending the same offer again and again. That's what most, like if you go to Sam Owens funnel, there isn't a new offer coming your way. It's the same damn offer from different angles until you just break down and you say, give it to me, Sam.
I mean, you could do that, right? I mean, if you have like the one big thing, you know, be it your, you know, ultimate software developer's guide, or
if it's $2,000
or your membership or something like that,
If it's $2,000 product, you literally only have to sell 1.5 products per day to make it $1 million business.
Yeah.
Right. So that means every email that goes out every single day that gives another angle to people for that product is another potential for. So if you had 365-day email campaign that was constantly giving them one angle after another as to why they buy your product, and you have 100,000 people in your email list, then I could see this working.
Well, and see, the beauty of it too is that you'd have so much of the flow going through one particular, you know, that same choke point, that you'd be able to optimize the emails in there to increase click rates, right? you know what I mean? And then to like every step you'd be able to optimize, because it's just like, it's simple, right? The more simple that you make it, the more that you are open to be able to optimize things, and the more that you can divert all of the traffic through that same thing, right? Even the same thing with upsells, right? Then you can throw an upsell onto there and then try a different upsell, right? And try a different upsell. Like you can test each one of those pieces, right? Because like right now, like where we're at with the simple programmer stuff is it's like, who's even like, there's just like so many emails and sequences and products that they're going through at different times that we can't like just we don't have that laser. So I mean, Josh and I were talking about yesterday about trying to obviously we've been talking about moving into one direction, but I was thinking about the same thing. It's like maybe if we switch to ConvertKit or something like that, then we just get rid of all the complexity. We just have one simple funnel and we just sell one damn thing. Even now,
complete software developers career guides.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, eventually, but
the course, you mean?
Yeah. But for now, we need to sell. I mean, something. A book, or even
you're already selling a bunch of things.
Huh?
What do you mean?
Well, you need to sell one thing.
So, what? So what does that mean?
One product. Just
which one?
He's saying that he just wants to focus on selling one product.
Everything else can be an upsell on top of it. So which product are we talking about then? Complete software developers career guides?
That doesn't exist right now.
So then how to market yourself?
Potentially, or like 10 steps to learn anything quickly, or
membership.
Yeah, I don't think that one makes sense for the funnel.
Oh.
But I don't know.
Right now, we're down to 2. We actually only have 2 campaigns running. So we've got they come in on the well, that's not quite true, but most of them, probably 95% come in on 5 steps or 5 learning mistakes email course, and then they get pitched the blog course, and then that's it, and then they just get the weekly emails.
Yeah.
So we've simplified it down a lot.
But I see all kinds of different coupons being used for, like, some people get it for like $29 or $7 off. Some people get like.
Well, there's a coupon in the book. Yeah, there's a coupon in the book, and then but the course, the email course, it's $29. Those purchases are all coming through the email course.
Okay, I got to run in 4 minutes.
Okay. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, one other thing too that I was thinking about. It might make sense. I wonder. I don't know if we've tried this in a while. It would be interesting to take the first name field off of all the opt-in boxes, or at least to try that out as a test. I should run that as an A/B test in one of maybe on the interview take one.
I tested it, and it was not a huge difference. I was surprised because I thought that would be a big one. And it was like 4% or something, or like less than that. It was very, very small.
Okay. Yeah. It might be interesting to to do it and then send them like a bribe email as the first email to say like, hey, tell me a bit about yourself and I'll give you this free whatever. And like in the first email, then you're actually getting them to reply to the email or like to fill out a form or something, or I don't know. You're getting them to take another action as well.
That's another, like, the conversion percent on that is so small. To get them to reply is probably 2 to 3% at best.
Well, no, not if you're offering them something free, like, and maybe not even reply. You can just get them to fill out a form to grab the free thing that you're offering them. So I don't know.
I've never asked for the first name on my opt-ins, so.
Well, how do you know how to call them subscriber first name?
I don't. I just go right into the email.
Did you know you can put that in the subject line too, the first name thing, the subscriber first name?
Yeah.
Of course.
So I have something that just barely came across my desk while we were talking. I had somebody offer to buy all my remnant space on my podcast sponsorships.
Is it a Viagra seller?
No.
I'll buy all your remnant space.
They would be relevant ads.
How much are they paying? Or how much are they asking for? Are they offering?
We've been doing the whole you give me a number. No, you give me a number.
I just want to find the number so I can find out what I can offer you.
Yeah. So
now there's a three-way going on here.
This is a clean show, no three ways. But yeah, so I think he's gonna hold out until I give him a number. And but yeah, he's basically he wants to get remnant space at a discount, which is fine because if I don't sell it, then yeah, I've got to filling it with something that gives me money is something.
Give him the number, but add an extra 0 onto it, and then if he says yes, or if he negotiates from from there, and then you're good. And if he says what the no way, then you say, oh shit, I accidentally added an extra 0.
Check dropped. So there we go.
All right, I'm out of here, guys.
Cool.
See you next week.
All right. See you,
Okay.
Manny.
All right.
Bye, Manny.
Did you hear what I said, Chuck? So send him the offer of what you think it's worth, but add an extra 0 to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if he comes back, he might come back and negotiate with you based off of that really high anchor point. Or he might say, hell no, that's crazy. What do and then if he does that, if he says no way, then you say, oh, oops, I added the extra 0.
Well, and make sure you misplace the comma so it's ambiguous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, so he was asking what kind of a discount I'd give him. So, I don't know.
What kind of a discount are you looking for?
That's what I asked him. And I got or maybe we could do a flat monthly fee to be filled into the gaps with a minimum number of insertions. But I don't know if that'll work, because then if I sell everything out, then I don't want to have guaranteed him any kind of traffic.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really looking at just a percentage discount, I think. I mean, I guess I just say a 25% discount, and then he can try and talk me down from there.
He doesn't know what he's getting, right? Because
if
it could be, is this an ongoing thing or just a one-time?
No, he wants to do it ongoing.
Okay, here's what I would do. Give him like you might even give him a big discount. Like, it depends on how much remnant space you have, right? And you'd have to show him the statistics. But the best way to do this so that it's advantageous to you as well as him is that you create a deal. Let's say you said that you're going to give him 50% off remnant space. He must buy it all every time that you have it, right? So that's the only way he can get this discount, is he must commit to, this is how high it could be, right? And you're obviously not gonna not sell anything and just sell him the remnant space, because that would be stupid when you're giving him a 50% discount. But anything that you can't sell, he must buy up and fill up that amount, but he'll get a 50% discount. That would make it advantageous to both of you, because he's getting a steep discount, but you're also getting everything filled, guaranteed every time.
Right. And that would allow me to change my sales cycle a little bit, because then essentially I could just say, look, I'll just, I'm going to, bill you in advance for, 4 weeks at a time or something for whatever I don't have filled.
Yep.
And that way, then when I talk to people on my sales calls, essentially I can be like, look, I'm booked out for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Right.
Yep.
And that gives me plenty of time to, get them on board. And then a week before that next 4-week cycle, I just bill him for the next round.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, that would I mean, that would be a reasonable amount of income. I mean, it wouldn't be a ton, but it would be reasonable.
And that's a pretty good offer. I mean, if you offer him
Yeah.
something like 50% off, or it's still a good deal for him.
Yeah. Yeah, so essentially what I'd be saying to him is, look, so in about a week and a half, you'll get an invoice for April. Right?
Yeah.
For whatever I haven't filled in.
Yeah.
And that way then I'm selling, so then any sales that I'm making, you know, the last week of March and then anything in April, I'm selling into May.
Yeah.
To start in May. But the other thing is then if I can also sell them, you know, sell the sponsorships on the packages a month at a time, 2 months at a time, or 3 months at a time, then, you know, then he'll get the whole month's worth of spots on whatever I don't sell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm kind of liking where this is going.
Yeah.
All right, well, that helps. And yeah, 50% was kind of where I was initially looking at going to. But yeah, I like the idea of saying, you know, you've got to guarantee me that you're going to buy it.
Yeah, because I don't like the idea of you offering a 50% discount unless that. Otherwise, what'll happen? I mean, like if you look at like game theory, then every single one of your sponsors should hold out and not pay you until there's remnant space, and then buy remnant space, right?
At
So
50%, yep.
Right. So if you're like, hey, if you want to, you know, like the deal, in order to prevent that from happening, like the rush for the door type of syndrome, it has to have enough of a penalty associated with it or liability so that, you know, otherwise it just doesn't make sense, because then it's like, well, why should I pay twice as much as what a sponsor would say?
Right.
But your answer is, well, because you're going to pay, you know, are you going to buy up all the remnant space?
Right. Are you going to make the guarantees? And
yeah. Well, and if sponsors start to drop you, that gets more and more expensive, right?
Yeah.
If they try to play that game, then they're paying for they're like every sponsor that does that chunk gets bigger. So
you just have to make sure you take advance payment on this one for sure, and that if he ever tries to weasel out or doesn't fulfill the promise, then he's done. Like,
deals off.
Yep. Well, and then I can go to some other ad group and basically offer them the same deal.
Yeah. Yep.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I guess the other end of that is that, you know, he can't sponsor any shows with any companies that I work with. Because he runs his own ad network.
Oh, I see. That's why he wants your remnant space, because
he runs his own ad network in the same space. But his ads to date have been website traffic only. He hasn't done podcasts.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
And so, I would just push him and say, you know, it can't be ads for anyone who has or currently sponsors.
Yeah. And if you and if you add new sponsors, then
they're out too.
Yep. I like it.
Even if he places them, you know,
right?
Because if they come to me and buy, then they're buying guaranteed placement. It's a different thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, good deal. And then also in news, you're gonna like this. Next week is going to be my last week on Adventures in Angular.
Cool. All right.
I've already handed it off, and I'm in the process of handing off 2 of the other shows, and I'm trying to find somebody to take on a third. So
nice. Yeah. Well, that'll free up some time.
Yep. And then I can just hunker down and get the rest of this crap figured out. because I'd kind of like to get things streamlined to the point where I can actually just really focus in on Podwrench is kind of my main thing. And then what I'd like to do is I'd actually like to have it done in time to, because I haven't been spending a ton of time focusing on it. I have a developer working on stuff, and I tell them what I want periodically, and then check in on it. But I'd like to have that together by podcast movement, so that I can actually sit down with people and walk them through it and get feedback. So
yeah, yep, I like it.
And the other thing is that if I do get this podcasting booth together, what may also be interesting is if I get booth space at Podcast Movement, I could go set up the booth in my booth space, and then essentially, do some kind of deal where they get, they get time in the if they book a time in the booth, then they have to sit down and walk through the software with me, just so I can get feedback on it. They don't have to buy it. It's not going to be a pressured sales pitch. I just want their feedback.
Right. Yeah. All right. Should we wrap it up? Unless you guys got something else.
I don't think so. I guess my only other thing is, so I did mention that I wanted to move a little bit more toward the broadcasts. Am I better off doing that, or am I better off doing the Plinko style thing, or just periodically queuing up another campaign? Because it sounded like that wasn't working for you guys.
I don't know. I mean, I'm of the mind now to just to keep everything as simple as possible, to have one main thing you're trying to get people to do, and have that messaging be consistent, and then optimize that to get the best result possible.
Right.
I feel like that's it might not be the most optimal thing from the standpoint of all the things that you could do, but I think it'll be the thing that you can optimize the best, which will more than make up for it not being the overall most optimal thing, because the overall most optimal thing would be to do a lot of things and to optimize all of them to the highest level possible. But that's not possible to do. So given the choice between spreading thin and being less than optimal versus being focused and being a lot more optimal, I would pick the thin and focused.
Yeah, I guess on that point, I have been thinking about what we talked about. I think, was it last week or the week before, where you were talking about your membership?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking about just essentially putting the how to get a job course and everything, and just sticking it into a membership, and then setting up a membership, kind of like what you were talking about. Now that I'm kind of getting toward the tail end of optimizing the podcasting processes and stuff, and I'm kind of freeing things up so I have more time. And then just focusing everything on that, and then I can just send broadcasts out talking about what content I'm putting in there.
I wouldn't get into the broadcast. I mean, I would still make a campaign.
Well, but I would queue up the campaign. This is what we're talking about currently in the membership.
But then it won't be time relevant. I mean, what are you trying to get people to do? What's the main, the goal, right?
So I'm just
when
thinking
you send them an email,
a $10 a month membership kind of thing.
Well, you don't have it yet. You haven't launched it, so
I haven't launched it. No, but I'm thinking about just heading in that direction.
I don't know. I mean, I would still just again, we keep going back to the same, just make more podcasts and sell sponsorship.
I'm definitely doing that, but I feel like maintaining membership wouldn't be, I could find somebody to do most of that, and then I would just be involved enough to
basically, you've got an email list but nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
is kind of the problem. So
So
you've also got a problem that's a little unique because you've got all these different shows.
Yeah, but the thing is that, and so I've seen, how do I put it? So I've seen like, so I listen to a lot of the conservative talk stuff. So I listen to Ben Shapiro and Glenn Beck, and they both have membership thing where you sign up and you get extra content every week or every month. Ben Shapiro's, they do both, right? So they do, you get like an extra 2 hours of Ben Shapiro stuff because he went to 3 hours so he could syndicate on the radio, but the podcast is still only the first hour of his show. So if you want the other 2 hours, you have to sign up. And then so you get new stuff every day, and then you also get they have a monthly call where people can ask questions and stuff. And so I could kind of run that, and then it'd be like, look, we're just doing this across dev chat, so we'll have experts come in and we'll kind of do a roundtable Q&A kind of thing for a couple hours once a month, kind of like what they do. And then and that way it doesn't matter what the shows are or whatever. So we could do one and say, look, we're having all of our React experts come in this time. So if you have React questions, you can send them in, or you can send in, generic programming questions. We'll pick some and answer them, and then, whatever. But yeah, just kind of pull something together like that. So it's like, look, you just get extra content, and then there'd be a discussion forum in there, and I'd let a couple people moderate that. And then I just get involved in, 1 or 2 discussions every morning for 15 minutes or something.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense because then you're having the whole focus, everything being pointing towards that one thing, and from all the different shows. Yeah, then I'd say that makes sense.
Yeah, because then it's just instead of it being like this is the outcome you're going to get, it's, hey, support the show, we'll send you a T-shirt, and you get the extra content about whatever. But then it would give people because a lot of people are like, how do I support the show? And so if it's a $10 a month or $100 a year donation kind of thing, and then they get the extra content, then it kind of pays off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I could see that.
And I've looked at doing that through Patreon, but that's turned out to be kind of a pain.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that.
So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to sell it through my own setup. But then if I'm building courses and things, then I can just, make it part of the deal, unless it's like a big flagship course. But then, yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure where I'm going, if and when and how I would go about that. But yeah. So if I wind up building other stuff, then I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But
yeah.
But this allows me just to focus in on this other stuff too, because then if a lot of people in there are saying, hey, we want the Python show, then I can just pull it together. And yeah.
You hear screaming?
Yeah, but then I get a direct line to a lot of people that listen to the shows. So.
All right, shall we do thoughts for the week?
Yep. I failed on my accountability this week, by the way. I was supposed to reach out to 40 potential sponsors. And I realized that the reaching out to the people who are a little bit warmer than that would be more advantageous. Is that the best way to put that? So yeah. So I basically started getting that together instead. But yeah.
Let's see. Mine was to finish the interview cake funnel, which I'm waiting for video edits, but I guess I have a few other things that I was finishing up today. So if I get the video edits today, then I'll be able to finish it. But I guess I can have all my stuff, part of it done. So which I recorded all the videos and created all the emails. So I'm thinking about just sending all the emails to everyone, even if they open or click the email. I don't know. The reminders, because there's only one extra reminder per video. Does it really going to hurt, like, if they get that extra email? I mean, if they're bought into it, then they're not going to be like, actually, in fact, that's the way to simplify, right? Because what is someone going to do? They're going to watch video 1, like they get the email that says watch video 1, so they watch it and they like it, and then they get another email that says, hey, why didn't you watch video 1? And then they're like, oh, fuck this guy. I'm done with this. Oh, I already watched the video, dude. I can't believe you sent me another email. I already watched the damn video. Like, I'm unsubscribing. That's it. I'm done. I don't care about video 2 anymore. Right? Like,
you could also phrase it so it's less of a why didn't you do this and more of just like another, basically just pitch it a second time.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice if you can be like, why wouldn't you have done this? I guess at the front of the email I can say, if you've already watched video 1, you can ignore this or something like that, or I don't know. I guess that's possible.
Go to end.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or maybe there's like, I guess again, adding complexity. We could use a liquid template to, like, have an optional thing where it
you
changes.
Just get a blank email. If you watch the video, you get a blank email.
You just get an animated GIF. It's like a thumbs up.
Well, mine was to do the membership drive, to plan that out, and we decided to scrap that and do another affiliate promotion. So I'm working on that and don't have it done, but have made strides in progress. Working on hiring. I hired 2 ClickFunnels people. The way to not get slammed with proposals on Upwork when you post a job is apparently to put ClickFunnels as a requirement. So
to not get slammed?
Yeah, we only got 6 applications, and 2 of them seem pretty good. I don't know. It's a niche down specialty. There were only 6 applications, and 2 of them seem pretty good. So I hired 2 people, $15 and $20 an hour. There was one guy who was $60 an hour who I did not hire.
Yeah.
But
I really want to make a course that I'm going to sell through ClickFunnels on how to sell a course on how to sell through ClickFunnels.
Oh man. Meta to the 3rd power.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, it's funny how many people do that with their how to blah 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 business course, how to sell whatever. But yeah. So my accountability will be that I'm going to get this how to sponsor a podcast series written out, and then record YouTube videos for it. And then and that way I can, put those into the emails that I'm sending over to these folks. And then my thought is that I actually handed off hiring to Michelle. So she's been hiring show notes writers. We're getting pretty close to needing another editor, because we're going to add some more shows imminently. And so, it's just been nice because she's been able to take ownership of that. And with me freeing this stuff up, I've been able to take ownership of a couple of things that I haven't been able to take ownership of. And specifically, the React Native podcast has been going out about 2 to 3 times a month instead of every week. And I got a sponsor on that show, and it kind of messed things up there. And I realized, I got to take this on. So I'm probably going to wind up part-time hosting that one until we find more panelists. So, but the flip side is, I can rehabilitate that one a little bit and then, back out of it. And I can continue then to just focus on the things that I'm good at and take ownership of the thing, because I could complain that the guy running the show isn't doing what I want him to. But the reality is that he's not really in a position to do that, and he's done a great job otherwise. And so, just getting in there and going, okay, well, if I want this to change, then I've got to own it. And so, making other people take ownership and then taking ownership myself has really empowered a lot of things here. So,
I like it. Let me see. Yeah, oh, do you have your thought or?
Yeah, that's my thought.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Empower others to take ownership, make them take ownership, so that you can take ownership of the things that are unique to you.
So my commitment is to get the interview cake funnel done. So I should be able to get that done next week. And then my thought is to just like simplify things down as much as possible. Then you can it's really hard to optimize if you can't simplify. And so it was kind of like I was saying, like if you have things that are, you can doing more things technically could make you more money or get you more results, but simplifying and optimizing it will most likely beat that out unless you have a huge amount of resources at your disposal.
Yep.
So
I'll piggyback off of that. So I'm listening to Fooled by Randomness by Taleb.
Yeah,
and he has a really good illustration in there that kind of illustrates why it's so hard sometimes for us to make progress on things. And it is there's a thought experiment he does where you have this vat of balls, and there's like black balls and red balls. You don't know what the mixture is, what the ratio is. So as you take a ball out, like you get a better idea, okay, of what the ratio is. But as you're taking balls out, there's someone shoving balls in so you're like, oh, okay, I can see it's like 50% red balls, 50% black balls. But there's someone shoving balls in underneath going, oh, he thinks it's more red balls, so we're going to put in more black balls. And like it's a feedback system, like it's a dynamic. And I think that's part of what we see with the lists and the offers, and like is you can't just, it's really hard to know. It's a living organism. You can't just make a change and know, okay, this is what the effect's going to be, because the effect might not make itself evident for 6 months down the line or a year down the line.
Yeah.
So I mean, just this book has really helped me appreciate even more just the complexity of some of the stuff that we have to deal with.
Yeah, and that's a perfectly good reason to keep systems as simple as possible, because once you get up to a level of even like when you get above like 4 or 5 variables in a multivariate equation, it becomes insane. So
Yep.
If you have one variable, you can know. So. Cool. All right. I should be here next week because I'm going to Vegas on Friday night. So.
Yep.
All right.
Cool.
See you guys next week.
Yep.
All righty. See ya.
Bye.